Hi, this is one of the High Priests of Conchi Ray from Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. We're proud members of the collective, and you're listening to one of the collective members, the Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast. Hope you enjoy.
Wendell Vaughn, the first Earthman ever claimed the protector of the universe, bonded to the energy-transforming quantum bands that were both weapons and symbols of his station fought an ongoing battle to defend all life in the universe from cosmic evil as Quasar.
Hello and welcome to the Quantum Zone, episode 12. That's right, we're back. We're back to Quasar's ongoing series. Fortunately, Master of the Quantum Zone Will cannot be with us tonight, but hey, I'm here, Phil's here, and with me is...
Matt is here. Good to
Right,
be here.
we're going to get down to it. Like I said, we're back to Quasar's ongoing series, Quasar issue 4, Quantum Rain.
Yeah. Quantum rain, quantum rain.
I was wondering who's going to make the Prince reference first.
The quantum characters are wearing kind of a purple tint on the front. The main
But
guy.
then Quasar's not wearing it, aren't laughing in the purple ring.
No.
Again, of course, still Mark Grunwald writing, Paul Ryan breakdowns, Danny Belandi, Janice Chiang, Paul Beckton, Howard Mackey, Tom DeFalco couch edits.
Was he maybe he was home doing this, you know? They didn't have FaceTime or Skype back then.
Let me fax the script over. But yeah, Quantum Theory made easy. But yeah, so we open up first page, Quasar's flying into the office first thing in the morning, and window looks wide open. And I mean, am I missing something? I thought in tall skyscrapers, don't the windows like not open as like a safety feature?
Yeah, and especially a window that is very close to the ground too. That is not baby proof. You look at the toilet height, the toilet paper dispenser.
Yeah, it looks very low. And I'm like, even if I know even if you could open the window, you wouldn't have to worry probably anyone breaking in, especially this building and this high up. But you think we had like a ton of pigeons in that bathroom or something when he came in the morning.
Yeah, but it's very pristine too.
Oh yeah, but he said he's gonna have to start taking public transit because a glowing man is not gonna be able to fly in and out of a town office building without attracting attention, especially the Fantastic Four's building.
Right.
I think Reed Richards is gonna have a bunch of detection programs.
But this is, it's been a while since we've been in a Quasar issue, and it feels good. I mean, even rereading this again this morning, just like the beginning of it, there's a lot of talking, a lot of interior monologue, but it reminds me of how much I've missed Quasar, especially in the issues where he's only had a line here and there in the Avengers issues. We get real deep into his psyche and neuroses, I guess.
Yeah, and all the colors are right. But yeah, and then he's changing out of his outfit, putting on his his suit and stuff. This is before he figured out how to change his clothes with the quantum band. You know, the glasses are a disguise because he doesn't want to wear a mask all the time. Ironic.
Yeah, I'll get that later.
And then he thinks he's maybe losing his hair.
That's great. I forgot about that one.
He's not even out of his 20s yet, remember?
He's so vain. He probably thinks this issue is vain.
Oh man, it's like the all musical episode. Yeah, I was looking. I mean, this is episode 12. We haven't done an issue of Quasar's bulk since episode. Okay, and then he's thinking to himself, catching people up. I guess since there was a big gap between issue 3 and 4, time wise, because he's thinking about his run-in with the giant extraterrestrial. That's Supernova, half alien, half human commando.
Who is the half alien, half
Angler, probably.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. A mudslinging extra dimensional. That's
Man Thing.
No, Quagmire probably.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Who popped out of Man Thing, but
Man Thing is just made of mud.
And a couple of good guys who mistook my intentions.
I think that's Fantastic Four, the Johnny Storm.
Maybe. Oh, it might be a couple of good.
Yeah,
maybe. I say maybe new Warriors, even though he was in it for like one panel.
Yeah, but he didn't really have any intentions in that. And I mean, he just kind of came in with Cap.
Or unless he's calling the Lava Men good guys, I don't know.
Yeah, he went through a lot while he's slicking back his hair, reminiscing.
So he's like, let me check in with Eon. So he goes to the little closet where Eon's at. Calls him a couch potato, but he's like floating in like a empty space in this closet. I've never seen him near a couch. I love how he brings him back to Earth so he can just live in this office 24/7.
Well, he goes out and does errands, doesn't even leave him a plate of astronaut ice cream or something.
So he asked him how he is. Says, I'm fine. I was up kind of late for Avengers training. That Captain America, what a slave driver. Want to prove the cap of no Reed Richards.
I do like that they're having kind of typical Monday morning office water cooler chat, but it's just in an interdimensional space in his executives.
Yes, and he's like, unless their emergency comes up, I don't have any more Avengers obligation till Saturday. I'll have more time to search for the Universal Menace. He's like, are you sure you understand me having to make a living? He's like, yes, I've observed your people. I know this. There's someone in the outer chamber. Oh, she's right on time. And we get the world's worst dressed secretary.
Yes, Miss Valentine.
Like, oh, she's like, Mr. Vaughn, you're here. The guard didn't see you come in this morning. Oh, yes, I got in early before shit. Really glad you decided to take the position.
Yeah, very boring tour.
Yeah, because they have no business. There's nobody else on staff yet. So he's like, here's your desk. Here's the bathroom.
He kind of brags about his own bathroom.
He's like, my executive office, complete with executive bathroom. He's like, your bathroom's down the hall. Mine is right here next to my desk. He was the office before the office.
Wendell Vaughn, Michael Scott.
That's what she said. Then she sees Eon's door and she's like, what's that? He's like, it belongs to the tenants next door. I'm gonna have it boarded up soon. Because doesn't he put like a bookcase or something in front of it eventually?
He does.
I know, the universal threat will never find you. I'll put a bookcase in front of the door.
Yeah, you know, the thing that screams secret passage in every comic book or vampire movie.
So and then he tells her, we have no business yet. Come up with a list of office supplies you might need. And he's like, I've never had a secretary. We'll figure it out how you go. And she's like, thanks for letting me dress like a cocktail waitress. He's like, no problem. Then they flash ahead 8 hours.
Yeah, I want to see a fan fiction spin-off issue to see her making 8 hours worth of notes about what office supplies, because she could even look at the internet back then. So
making like paper clip chains. And who's Xeroxing their butt? I want to know. So yeah, as she's about to leave, she's getting nosy. She's like, oh, who's this in this picture on your desk? He's like, oh, that's my mom and sister. She's like, oh, okay. Wait. Yeah. He's like, wait, is she sniffing around?
Yeah, already day 2 of meeting in person. He's like, where's this going? Where's this executive taking the secretary romance?
It's like, hey, it's like this could go somewhere. It's like, hey, they're stuck in an office for 8 hours with nothing to do.
What's he doing the whole time? I guess he might have been looking up where the interdimensional threat could be. Or
might be reading some Avengers files.
Viewing his training, going over it in his head.
Going over those insurance forms we talked about last episode. So she leaves. He changes back in the costume, and he says, tells Eon, I had an idea. I'm going to go around and check out all the extraterrestrials already on Earth. And he's like, any idea how to proceed? And Eon's like, yeah, here, hold a mental projection of your home world. These lights where all the extraterrestrial presences are. See that one there? That's me. He's like, I didn't know there were so many. He's like, you should have seen it years ago when the dire rats had infested your globe.
Then he makes a Dire Straits joke. This is the music issue.
It is!
Here's a little nitpicky thing about he gets to the office and he says, I gotta stop coming in like this. A glowing being was gonna catch attention. And then at the end of the day, he just changes into his suit, talks to Eon, and then flies out of the building in his suit. So.
Well, he said coming in. He didn't say anything about leaving.
Okay, all right. I'll grant you that. Yeah.
But, I mean, if there's any building you could fly in and out of as a superhero, it'd probably be for Freedom Plaza. People probably, I mean, you don't want the Fantastic Four to figure it out, but everyone else is probably like, oh, the Fantastic Four have company. Quasar's all worried about, if I hadn't come up with this idea, would Eon have just suggested I go look for extraterrestrial? He starts getting tricky with it. This is where he starts getting tricky with the bands. I got one of my 14 wristbands attuned to the North Pole, so he has kind of a compass. The other one has, so he's listening to the radio on another one as he's.
I didn't realize he had that many. 7 on each band, I guess.
Yeah, so he's flying over Kansas. Oh, look, there's the Ken. Oh, and another one to the air traffic controller's frequency, so he doesn't run into any planes.
He's not just bored. He's not just listening to the radio in his commute, being cognizant of traffic.
But he makes it to California, it says, in a little under 2 hours. See, Hawkeye. And
then he gets a Beach Boys song as the music edition.
I feel like VH1 in here. Yeah. He says, the hard part's going to be sniffing out the alien when all of it got to go to the general vicinity. And he asks Eon, he's like, how am I doing? And Eon, on another gem, says, you're within a mile of the focal point. That's when Quasar's scoping out some female joggers.
Yeah. He's like, maybe one of these hot babes will know where the aliens are.
These California girls. What's that Katy Perry song? Ah, no, they're more music. Are they wearing
Good
Daisy
evening,
boots?
ladies. The name is Quasar, and I'm hunting aliens from space. See any? No best or worst pickup.
Then he pulls out the Avenger. I'm with the Avengers.
He has to throw that out there before they reach for their mace. Probably haven't heard of me. Oh, no.
I mean, I guess he's fine. They can figure out he has powers, but he's like, oh, you probably haven't heard of me. Have you seen anything strange lately? Any aliens, UFO sighting? She's like, sorry, dude, I don't even watch Elf.
Yes, great line. Loved some Gordon Shumway as a kid.
Yeah, oh yeah. I had the little doll. Yeah. It's like, it was a long shot. Thanks for your time. Have fun on your run. Here's where he could have hit on him. The one's like, can you believe that? The other one's like, we should ask them to take us flying.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, but then we see a figure hiding behind a tree, a mysterious figure. We see triangles like at the beginning and end of his sentences, so that usually means they're translating it from another language.
And we don't know what language, but he's talking about something called dialect.
Triangles, it could be any language. Mysterious figures following Quasar, so it looks like he can fly also. Quasar says, I wish I could pick up some kind of energy signature. I guess I'll circle around, and if I don't come up with anything soon, I'll move on to the next hotspot. But then a half hour later, he's further upstate, and he sees a bunch of people sitting in a circle. Looks like they're meditating, but they're also floating. All of a sudden, quantum bands just turn off.
The hits just keep coming, He keeps finding weaknesses and things don't work out. The first time they've just failed him when he wasn't trying to engage in an attack of some sort.
One of these hippie flower child looking people says, Master, look, someone's falling. A bearded man in charge.
It looks like he's broken up, or he's just crashed a cult meeting.
This man stands up, says, excuse me, with his Matt Kona beard, and says, and Quasar's like, I stopped falling, but my wristbands aren't on. Now what is... And he sees the bearded guy coming near him, and he didn't recognize him at first because he didn't have a beard when they first met. He's like, Aquarian? And Aquarian's like, do I know you, friend? Ah, yes, of course, from Project Pegasus. You're Quasar, aren't you? So
Quasar's not used to being recognized. But...
Yeah, that's right. If you want to know about the Aquarian, we're going to start the Project Pegasus. I already looked this up in preparation for this. We'll start the Project Pegasus storyline with episode 18, so like 6 more episodes after all our Acts of Vengeance stuff. Aquarian says, yes, I apologize. Usually only birds fly low enough to be caught in my null energy field. So what? There's just birds dropping on them all the...
Yeah, well, he's a pacifist, He can't hunt birds, but if they're dropping in, So they're probably all vegetarian.
I'm thinking.
Come out and say it.
But yes, it seems very cult-like. I've been sharing the true way of the dawning age with those who seek enlightenment. So he says, let me introduce you to my followers. And Quasar's like, the Aquarian is a pacifist from way back. I can't imagine him posing any threat to Eon, but it wouldn't hurt to double check. Aquarian introduces Quasar, says, this is an old friend of mine, Quasar. He and I have saved the world once a few years ago. So we get a bunch of, what's your sign? And peace, man.
Pleased to meet you, son. There's that random old guy there.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis joining up.
Quasar asks him, what's the gist of your movement here? And Aquarian says, as the way opener of the Age of Aquarius, I am preparing the way for the celestial Messiah by helping my water children master the ways of non-violence. Quasar's like, all right.
Yeah, he was regretting asking that question.
Some blonde starts asking if he wants to be a water child.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then we see Triangle Man step out of the shadows. And as we'll find out later, it's Quantum, still thinking in his triangle language. He's like, the one in white also flew. Are these two enhanced natives or my brethren? Only one way to determine. Combat, energize, actualize, quantumize. And he seems to duplicate himself.
Goes from 1 to 3 to a whole fleet.
And we kind of get a recreation of the cover as they're dropping from the sky. Oh, look. You see what the one guy's wearing at the top of page 15? The one guy on the ground, DP7 shirt.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I like that.
Yes. Get some nice crossover. I guess they have to pay him back for Quasar had a poster in an issue of DP7. So.
Yeah, and when Quasar came out, it was this and a couple other titles. They replace the new universe in the Marvel books. I'm like, do you read DP? Just a side note, did you read the DP7s? I bought a bunch of them, and I read the first few because they're all like written by Mark Grunwald.
Yeah, no, I should, especially since I like Grunwald's writing. I should. The only new universe thing I really read was like a bunch of Star Brands, because that comes into play here later also.
Oh yeah. Cool. Just wondering. Yeah, I should get into Star Brand too. Maybe we'll have a crossover.
I have a trade paperback. I think it was like the first 12 issues, maybe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, all the quantums are falling from the sky, and Quasar goes to put up an energy dome, and he's like, I forgot, I'm depowered. He's like, Aquarian, contract your null field, quick.
Yeah, and Aquarian seems a little hesitant. He's like, I want to talk this out first. Maybe non-violence will stop this rain of quantum men dropping on us.
And Quasar does like the worst threat ever. He's like, dude, or ow, I don't know. Aquarian retracts his null field. Quasar puts a bubble up around all of them. Asks Aquarian if he recognizes this guy. Aquarian says no, not that I know of. And Quasar says, I don't know who this is, but he's strong. I haven't felt a pounding like this since the time I went up against the thing. And Aquarian's trying to calm everyone down and said, pacifism is easy to practice when you are not threatened. I shall show you how to answer violence peacefully. That's when one of the quantums just like appears in the bubble.
Yeah. And this is the only, does it show up on your book? Is he just wearing is he a white beard and white hair?
Yes, I think it must have been a problem with the printers or something. Yeah.
Or maybe just when he talks to his brethren, he appears like said.
I don't know.
Buff California sense.
We'll send you a quantum no prize if you did say why was. So Aquarian says, let the pandemonium cease, and I guess he lets his null field expand because Quasar's bubble goes out, and there's only one quantum left. Everyone's floating again. And Aquarian's asking the guy, what's your problem? Why did you attack us? We mean you no harm. We are peaceful seekers of truth. Quasar's like, how do you make all those guys disappear? But meanwhile, Quantum's like, the bearded man dequantumized me. Oh, here's where the bleep. Then we get completely alien language where Quantum throws a punch and goes. Aquarian says, did he say? Friend, could you repeat what you said? It sounded familiar. And he puts him in a chokehold.
Yeah, just get the forearm right across the socket.
And then all the flower children are going nuts. They're like Quasar, help our guru. And he's like, I'd like to, but until he drops his null field, I'm powerless. And I guess Aquarian gets knocked out because Quasar gets his powers back. Tries to put a quantum mattress under him, but Aquarian goes right through it because I guess his null field always surrounds his body.
Yeah, that's a funny image because he cuts through it like hot butter, but he leaves the shapes. It's very cartoon-esque.
A bunch of quantums surround Quasar saying, Quasar's like, what language is that? And then we see a translation, even though Quasar still doesn't know what he's saying. He says, I said, are you one of the elect? And he says, pal, I have no idea what you're chatting about, so back off. He puts up another energy bubble around him. They're like, the energy screen again. He does not know the language, and his powers seem to emanate from his bracelets, not from within. Quasar's like, I don't know what they're saying, but it doesn't sound like an Earth language. And they're like, he is native, not one of the elect. And Quasar calls Eon again and says, Eon, I'm having a close encounter here with a bunch of suspected extraterrestrials, very humanoid, Caucasian looking. You recognize their lingo? And Eon says, not immediately, but I can use my cosmic awareness to scan the archives at the Exolinguistics Center on the planet Ruse to see if I can identify it. I think it's in issue 39, so we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Eon didn't have to explain that. He should have just said, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
it doesn't come with cosmic awareness, but he has to use the cosmic awareness to look at the library. Well, I guess it's easier than getting harassed by the librarian for being in the teen section.
Oh my god. Yes. Also, wait, update about my library trips.
Yes.
So you can reserve stuff online and they'll just pick it, put it on a shelf, you can pick it up. So I did that with a couple graphic novels and paperbacks, but had a little extra. I accidentally took out a 3-year-old reader's version of Captain America's Civil War, which is like Black Panther punches hard. Next page.
Yeah.
It's 300 words total. And then I went to I'm like, well, I want to get a graphic novel, but I don't want to look through the teen section because I would feel uncomfortable. And they put all the graphic novels outside of the teen section, so
nice.
You don't have to worry about going in and looking like a creep. So.
See, you probably affected that change. You're probably like, let's get that guy. Let's get that guy in the duck socks away from the teen section.
Yeah, there was a wanted poster with my face above it. It said, wanted out of the teen section.
To the action after their call, Quantum's still hitting the bubble, and Quasar says, and this is a question that pops up in our feedback from our listener, so now we're not, but Quasar saying, with every one of their blows, my energy sphere contracts another inch. Better do something before I'm trapped. Take a deep breath and contract. Now release, and the bubble gets bigger and has spikes on it.
Yeah.
Quasar flies out. Yeah, maybe I'll stop right here because this had to do with our feedback from one of our listeners. From Shoshin Smith at Shoshin Smith on Twitter. He sent us a direct message on Twitter. So remember, everyone, get a hold of us. But he must have read this right after he listened to our last episode, because he says, I've got a few questions for next week's reading of Quasar number 4. It's been established earlier that when Quasar makes a construct, he no longer has to think about it, and it stays until existence until he dematerializes it or someone destroys it. But it looks awfully like on page 16 that he's continually firing at his bubble to keep it from breaking. Also on page 19, Quasar is in one bubble construct and says with each punch it contracts by an inch, but on page 20 it's changed to a construct with spikes. I have 2 issues with this. I assume he instantly dematerialized the first bubble, and created the spiky one in its place, but why would the bubble construct contract and not just break if it was hit that hard? I assumed Quasar's constructs were solid structures. Just wondering your guys' thoughts. Love the podcast, by the way. This is why I wish Will was here. It's very entertaining. I envision Will as the human form of Eon. The guy's knowledge of the Marvel Universe as a whole is completely off the charts.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But thank you, Shoshin. Oh man.
All right, I'll take a crack at it. This is my theory, at least as it pertains to his current foe being Quantum. I think he might be able to affect what Quasar is able to do, because he could get inside the dome, the quantum ball that he makes, and he doesn't seem to be teleporting when he gets in the first time. And then maybe with all the different versions of himself around it, he's able to shrink it gradually. That's why it slows down. And I think it's the same construct on page 20, but when he takes a deep breath, he's exhaling the spikes up around it. So they were around him as they are in the small panel, and then when he releases, he turns it from just a regular ball to a mace.
I'm thinking Quantum's powers were like messing with Quasar's energy. Maybe he couldn't solidify it, or like as soon as Quantum would break it, he'd make a new field or something. Yeah.
But great question. Thanks for writing.
Yes, Solution. Please continue to write. You can write to us every episode, and the rest of you, get off your lazy butts and write as well.
Yeah, quit being cosmic couch potatoes.
That's right, you people. We put the hard work into this. Matt almost gets arrested at the library on a weekly basis. Come on.
Seriously.
All right, so Quasar's out. He's flying away. Said the purple people are still in my case. Tries to lead him away from Aquarian's call. Punching him with energy fists.
A classic Quasar offensive maneuver, giant fists.
Yes, but he said that's when Eon calls back, says, Quasar, I'm not able to identify the language yet, but I have ascertained your subject's identity. According to the Avengers computer files, facing a being named Quantum. He says the Avengers fought them, and he's like, yes, their data indicates that there's one entity replicating himself. He was defeated by a projectile producing copious amounts of smoke, which I believe was like a Hawkeye trick arrow.
I was a little disappointed we didn't get an editor's note.
I know. Come on, Grunwald.
There's a big space. You could have put it on page 22.
Right under Quasar, man. Why couldn't you just put it like right there? So it says, Quasar says, smoke. Why would that affect him? And Eon said it was speculated that he needed direct sunlight to replicate. And Quasar's like, but it's night now, and he's still replicating to beat the band. And I'm surprised we didn't get a scientific note here. Moonlight is just like sunlight that's like reflected off the moon. So Quasar dives into the ocean, and they follow, and the Quantums follow him. He's like, I'll try the ocean floor, see if that works. But then it doesn't work. So he says, comes back up. He's like, okay, what was that about smoke that got to them? So he tries bubbling them up, but then they just pop out of the bubbles, or they teleport. I don't know. And he's like, how did they do that? One of them punches Quasar. They catch him off guard, I guess. Quasar lands in the water unconscious, but for some reason the Quantums pick him up. 2 of them pick him up. He says he appears to be unconscious. I do not see his energy field. Perhaps he needs to be conscious to maintain. That's another issue that's weird. Sometimes he needs to be conscious. Sometimes depending who's ready. But they try to take his quantum bands off, but of course they don't come off because, as we know, he either has to die or get his hands chopped off. We'll get there.
Yeah. Like it says in the intro to every show, they're bonded to him.
And yeah, that's right. And as Quantum's trying to take the quantum bands off, we hear a voice say, Quantum's like, who, the language? And he's like, you are Dacamite, so am I.
It's the Aquarian.
Then you are one of the elect, Quantum says. He says, I do not know. I underwent great trauma coming here. Tell me of the elect. And Quantum says, 7 cycles ago, Father World scientists observed there's something peculiar to this planet's sun's energy that reacted with Dacamite physiology to produce a Dacamite with superhuman power. Reporting their observation, scientists were directed to undertake an experiment to determine the viability of endowing our militia with similar capabilities. So basically, they shot a bunch of their soldiers in these life support pods around our sun. Like I said, if it was speculated that exposure to solar energy from 93 million miles away resulted in a modicum of superhuman power, exposure from 30 million miles away would result in even greater power. They circled the sun, soaking up the sun.
And they all look like Quantum. Yes,
that's right.
The sun, what's that, a show or something?
All these white guys look alike. And when he awakened, Quantum says, when he awakened, he had discovered his strength had increased 100-fold. I was virtually impervious to injury, and I could quantumize my spatial coordinates. I also discovered my fellow platoon members gone. They had hatched before I did. I searched for them fruitlessly. He finally flying straight through the sun itself. Upon emerging, I felt a gravity wave from this world. Answered it, hoping it was a beacon for my comrades. It was not. It was an Earthman named Graviton, who enlisted myself and the woman named Half-Life in his war against his enemies. Again, no editor's note, but I believe this was from like some early West Coast Avengers, like maybe around issue 10 or 11, maybe 12. Okay. Somewhere in that. Where's Will and his vast knowledge of the
I know.
Marvel universe?
I have the first 24 West Coast Avengers, but I'm not going to thumb through them right now to try to find.
But he went along with Graviton in exchange for assistance and help finding the other Dacamites. When it became apparent he could not provide the help he claimed, I allowed myself to be repelled from his floating fortress.
Yeah. Now let's keep this in mind. This is a very long answer to him saying, tell me of the elect. Quasar is probably sitting here the whole time just hearing a series of beeps and shapes. Like, what is going on? And we sort of see him react to it after the flashback ends.
It's like Charlie. It's like the adults on Charlie Brown, you know. Aquarian, what's he saying? But I'm like, if this guy was one of the elect, wouldn't he know who he was? But Aquarian says, from what you've told me, I can tell you that I'm not one of the elect you seek, but I am Dacamite.
Which enrages him.
He says, how can that be unless, no, you are the son of Zeneg the Renegade. Aquarian says, I did not know my father. I came to this planet as an infant. Quantum says, yes, you are the son of a lunatic, a traitor to the father world. You are the original Dacamite that transformed, the one our scientists studied. You tricked me. Again, Quasar doesn't know what they're talking about, even though the last panel on page 27, Quantum doesn't have those triangles around his sentence, so Quasar should understand. But he says, what's going on? Talking peacefully one moment and then the next. Quasar said he was faking unconsciousness. He comes over to the quantum bands, puts them around Quantum's head. He says, Aquarian, slowly contract your null field. So Quasar messes with Quantum's powers. He says, if I run up the electromagnetic spectrum until I find his body's exact quantum state. And Aquarian's like, what are you doing? An experiment in quantum physics. The way I got it figured, Quantum here only looks like he's creating duplicates of himself. What he's really doing is materializing his body in various different positions within his probability field for mere fractions of a second each. Yeah, who didn't figure that out? What I did was use my energy to alter the probability field around him. The result, besides one angry quantum, is that I've resolved him between two discrete quantum levels. He's intangible as long as the probability field remains messed up. So basically, he's a ghost. He looks like triplet ghost.
Yeah.
He's not multiplying, but thanks to persistence of vision, he looks like he is. Aquarian sends his field out again, which fixes Quantum, and Quantum's like, I am solid again. And Aquarian says, within my null field, yes, I shut down both your own body's rampant energies as well as those the human's weapon has saturated you with. You can remain solid by staying within my field, my brother. Join my group. Perhaps a pacifist can teach the soldier a new way to live. And he's like, no, you are a fool and a disgrace to the father world. Let me go. He says, as you wish. And he flies off as like this triplet ghost. Aquarian says, is there any way for him to undo that without your help? And Quasar's like, not that I know of.
Kratos like, I barely knew what I did. I mean,
I
there's a
know.
long explanation, but I don't think he can undo it.
So Quasar flies off, thinking that's 2 extraterrestrials crossed off the threat the Eon list. And but there's still a couple of questions left unanswered. Like, what did happen to the rest of Quantum's power platoon? And will Quantum ever decide to take up the Aquarian's offer of fellowship just to get his real body back? I'm trying to remember when he got fixed, but I think Quantum showed up way later, and like
It has to be
towards the end of West.
It has to be in the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah, I think it was towards the end of West Coast Avengers run, like in the 90s, because it went to issue 100. But yeah, so Quantum showed up at like the beginning of the West Coast Avengers series and like towards the end.
Yeah, but I don't think he shows up in Quasar again.
But yeah, Quasar flies off, and join us next issue, because I believe he flies directly into Avengers issue 311.
Oh, yes.
So I believe at the first page of 311, we'll get to next episode, it says this issue takes place directly after Quasar number 4. But yeah, we since we're back in Quasar, we get the second half of that interview, the interview he did.
And they plug Avengers 311.
Yep, and the next issue, Quasar, which is Acts of Vengeance. So of course he goes up against the villain he's never fought before, the Absorbing Man.
Yes.
And we also get our science fact.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy them while they last. The electromagnetic spectrum.
Prisms, visible light, frequency, wavelength, energy for photon, joules, gamma rays. They got it all.
Yes, it's the spectrum or collection of ordered wavelengths. Is most familiar to us as a rainbow, but the EM spectrum doesn't end there. Photons are tiny, discrete bundles of energy, from the Latin word bundle. When moving, also manifest an electric field as well as a magnetic field. Electricity and magnetism are so closely related to energy that we use the word electromagnetic to describe the phenomenon. These 3 charts show that photons can be interchangeably described by wavelength, frequency, or energy. And you get a bunch of check notes about joules. That is Quasar issue 4.
Yeah, the final issue before the letters section begins. And the interview is fun. It's a cheeky conclusion.
Yes.
Where they done by 2 editors, and they kind of mess around with Quasar a bit. And,
So Shin or anyone else, if you want to read ahead and send us notes on all the upcoming episodes, or even this one, we'll read about previous. But like we said, next episode we're back to Avengers 311, and then the next 2 episodes after that will be Quasar 5 and Quasar 6, and then after that we'll do a flashback for Marvel Team Up 113, Spider-Man and Quasar's first team up, because the episode after that will be Quasar 7 with Quasar and Cosmic Spider-Man.
yes.
And then the 6 episodes after that will be the Project Pegasus storyline. So we'll get back to the Aquarian stuff.
Yeah.
Quasar, Aquarian, Ben Grimm.
Before the beard. Aquarian.
Yes.
Yeah. Aquarian, quite an odd character, a pacifist superhero.
Because I don't think he's an Aquarian back in the Project Pegasus. Was he still one dar?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to make a superhero a pacifist. Now isn't it happening now in the present day with Wonder Man?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Yes, it seems like they're doing that with Wonder Man. Yeah, because he was just in that last big weekly Avengers arc that Mark Wade and was it Jim Zub, and there's 1 or 2 other guys who were writing it. But yeah.
But it was a good one. It was an enjoyable. This was one of the early Quasar books that I didn't have, so I was just reading them as I had them, and I remember there was a lot of talk about this issue in one of the future letter columns. People were kind of divided about Aquarian, and so I was kind of curious to see what all the hullabaloo was about, and that did not disappoint.
Most Quasar solo book issues are pretty good. So
yeah, no, I agree, but it was just like I said at the beginning of the show, just back to old neurotic Wendell Vaughn, just starting out, trying to make his way in the world, trying to serve 2 masters, the corporate one, starting his own business, and
three basically, the corporate world,
Avengers.
Eon, and Avengers.
Yeah, and trying to fit in all of them, being uncomfortable in all 3. So.
And try to please Dad too.
True. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, we're gonna get some good stuff in these upcoming Quasar issues. I I always say Cosmos and Collision, but even before that, we get Journey in the Mystery, Acts of Vengeance next. Yes.
Yeah, a couple of back-to-back Acts of Vengeance ones, which is a great, fun Marvel-wide events.
Oh, one
you
day.
don't have to read in order. You know, you can just cook it up.
One day, if we ever run out of Quasar stuff, we should come back to Acts of Vengeance and do all that Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
There was like 3 Spider-Man books for like 3 months. So yeah, there's plenty of Spider-Man there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So are we done with this?
We're done. Will,
all right.
we missed Will, the Eon in the closet. He is stuck behind a bookshelf this month or this week. But, yeah.
So hopefully he can join us next episode for Avengers 311, Acts of Vengeance, the Siege of Avengers Island, Quasar and the support staff. All right.
All right, Phil.
So yeah, I mean, we enjoy getting listener feedback. So please, anyone, email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/quantumzonepod. Twitter @quantumzonepod, @CL Sidekicks. I think Soshin even sent it to the regular Capes and Lunatics Twitter. That's fine too, @Capes Lunatics.
They could leave a question as an iTunes review.
True. Oh, we would love iTunes reviews. You can comment. We do this on YouTube too. If you're listening to this on the podcast, leave a YouTube. Hit the bell, subscribe to our YouTube, and leave a comment, question, or the voicemail. Nice and easy. Don't even have to worry about spelling. 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And Matt, where can people talk to you?
You can find me at the Boston Public Library outside the teen section looking at graphic novels. Yeah, you can find me, Matt Kona, MATTKONA, anywhere on social media. That's me. I'm doing it.
And you can hit me up personal, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I am @nightwingpdp. All right. This has been the Quantum Zone, episode 12. We're back to the solo book. I love it. Quasar gets to speak and do stuff.
Yes.
No more glory hounds taking all the attention like Reed Richards or Namor or Gilgamesh. Let's not forget him.
Don't forget the Forgotten.
Oh, we're gonna forget him eventually because I don't think any other issue we cover is gonna has him ever.
Yeah.
Poor Forgotten Gilgamesh. Pouring one out for our homie. Remember, keep your eye out for multiplying troublemakers. And remember, Quantum Zoners.
Keep it quantum.
Keep it quantum, yes.